Our latest feature focus for Jurassic World Evolution 3 is another returning species, but it's also our very first aquatic creature for these videos, the Megalodon. Let's check it out and I'll give you the mega lowdown on what's going on. Can't kill me. Okay, so if I'm honest, there's not too much to say about this one. It's mainly a lot of cool shots of the Megalodon, which, yeah, it's alright. There's some nice early shots here though, showcasing just how much more interesting our lagoons are going to look with the expanded foliage options, because these plants at the top left and top right are absolutely terrestrial ones, unsuited for water living. That just means it's an option though, we've got more flexibility at the end of the day, always a positive. There's also a glimpse of a different sunken ship decoration across both of these shots. We've got this white rusting hull collapsed against the rocks. I think the lagoons have always suffered a little bit with being a little bit dull compared to aviaries and our standard exhibits, so hopefully this increased decoration versatility, and maybe a new attraction one day, pretty please, will make them a little bit more exciting. We also see the juvenile Megalodon social animation in action in this section, a nudge from the one on the right and a little snap back from the one on the left. Nothing too much to say about this, a lot of the aquatic ones kind of play out the same way. They're still very cute though, but kind of in the same way the snowballs from the Jack Frost horror film are, if you haven't seen it. Do I recommend it? I don't know if I do, but it exists. A closer look at the Megalodon stats reveals a little bit of interesting data. They're largely solitary, with their social needs capping out at what looks like 2 males and 2 females maximum in an enclosure. That's obviously a new dynamic we've never really had to think about before. And of course that kind of ties into breeding as well. As your juveniles grow up into adults, suddenly you might be left with an enclosure that's unbalanced in a way that you didn't have before. More interestingly, the Megalodon once again has an open space requirement. This time it says open water, and last time this was 100%. This time it goes up to 142% for some reason. I'm not totally sure how this makes sense. I suspect it isn't a percentage of the enclosure it's looking for, but a flat number of open meters, and so anything above that 100% requirement, anything above say 50 square meters, I've got no idea, but anything above that would then start to read as an impossible percentage. Now, throughout all of these videos and really every Evolution 3 discussion, I've said we can't talk too much about buildings because of the modular building system. It's hard to say what's new and what's not. But this hatchery is a little interesting because it's very similar to the one we already have in the game. But the struts over the water have been extended into this ladder walkway sort of mechanism. I suspect this might end up as the new default for this style. It would feel a little weird if they've done this tiny amount of modular tinkering. This might be a look at the new default lagoon, but you just don't know for sure. Frontier, why have you done this to me? I need pixels to evaluate, you know, I can't do it with the buildings anymore. After a glimpse of the juvenile emerging from the nest and confirmation that these odd shapes are sort of marking buoys almost that line the edge of the nest, we do get a glimpse of the new Megalodon's skin. Although it's pretty hard to tell, I'll concede. It looks basically to have fewer spots than the one we previously had, that's the one towards the bottom, and the stripes are thicker and more noticeable. It's subtle, especially in this lighting, but you can also make out the difference in patterning on the dorsal fin, with the new one being striped whereas the old one is kind of splotched basically. From the looks of it, I'm going to suggest the new skin is the female, that's the one on the top, simply because the caudal fin looks larger to me on the lower Megalodon. But again, this is pretty subtle as sexual dimorphism goes, and pretty hard to parse in this lighting. We've got some cool dead logs and some bubbly things at the bottom as well to make the lagoon a bit more interesting. Really excited to see the full breadth of lagoon decorations now. Hopefully they will catch up a little bit more with everything else. But honestly, that's about it for this one. Don't want to drag things out too long unnecessarily. Cool to talk about an aquatic that isn't the Mosasaurus though, but do remember to come back later on today because the dinosaur hatchery is tinkering away right now on the website. We should see more dinosaurs, new returning species, confirmed and otherwise, well, confirmed later on today, so definitely come back onto the channel a little bit later this evening. Until then, thank you very much for joining me. Not the most exciting one, a little disappointed to not get something brand new and shiny, but as is life. Thanks for joining me. Cheers, much love as always. Bye-bye.